Welcome back, everyone. Today we have the one actual NBA plumber. Who is it?
First team all
Oh, JJ Redick? Okay.
Ever shoot over 40% from the field
Well,
in his
we
career?
understand that.
Did he overshoot? Did he ever shoot over 40%?
Probably 39, 40%. Different kind
Not
of game.
once.
It's
Not
fair.
once.
That's fair. You also had 29 assists in an NBA game.
Oh, well, you know, he was being guarded by plumbers and firemen.
People with less talent will always try to make a name for themselves by criticizing other people and hopefully getting some attention and perhaps increasing their credibility. So when you respond to something like this, you play into their hands. I won't do that, but I will defend the firemen and the plumbers that he referenced, and I'll just give you a few of their names of these firemen that I played with and against during those years. How about Bill Russell, the aforementioned, not too bad a player. Wilt Chamberlain, remember that guy? He wasn't bad. I guess he must have fought fires as well, but in any event, Wilt Chamberlain, still the best, in my judgment, small forward that ever played the game. A guy named Elgin Baylor, a couple of point guards that weren't too shabby. My colleague who also had an award created, a guy named Oscar Robertson, who was pound for pound the best player perhaps in the game. Jerry West wasn't too shabby. The guys on our team, Sam and Casey Jones, a guy named Hondo Havlicek wasn't too bad. Tom Heinsohn, Frank Ramsey, George Mikan, Bob Pettit. I could go on and on. And we must have had the best firemen and plumbers on the planet at the time. So.
The best firemen and the best plumbers at the time on the planet.
In the year of our Lord 2026, it is a very common thing to hear about players from the past being referred to as, quote, plumbers.
Yeah.
In case you've been living under a rock, this is a derogatory term. It's a way to criticize and disregard former players, which is a tactic often implemented when trying to compare players from various generations. Now, when people first started saying this, it actually meant something. For example, in the very early years of the NBA, the league was simply not popular enough to financially support many of its players. Without a ton of attention on the sport, they simply couldn't generate enough revenue for all of their players to be full-time athletes. So naturally, many of the quote pro players also had to have second jobs to adequately support their families.
But every professional athlete, not every, but most professional athletes had a summer job. They didn't train year round like we did. They literally were plumbers and firemen and welders and farmers.
Yes. Oh, I don't know.
So it was a matter of fact.
A lot of NBA players worked the second job.
A lot of people did, and a lot of great players, Chris. Baseball players had winter jobs. They weren't making a gazillion dollars. They had, and you only got paid during the season. So a lot of these.
To me, it doesn't make sense that something like that is being used against them as a way to say that that they don't have the same skills as the players of today. Because although the players of today don't have like second jobs like this, bro. Like when they don't play, they don't really train more or anything, bro. I mean, they already load manage so much during the regular season. And in the summertime, it's even worse. They don't do nothing. So on top of that, let's not forget that, bro. Like, bro, I say 10 years from now, bro, people are gonna start to say that this generation was full of streamers, podcasters, whatever. I'm sure you've heard that one, but hey, whatever, man.
So I remember Richie Hebner was a grave digger, Chris. I don't know if you remember him. He's a first baseman, played for the Pirates, the Mets. Richie Hebner. He dug graves in the offseason. Wow.
That's why the term plumbers is a criticism when referring to former players. It's not because people hate plumbers and every plumber is a talentless person, but it's because players back in the day had their attention divided. The thought process is essentially, how could they be some of the greatest athletes in the history of the sport if they couldn't even fully commit their time to their craft? Now, I will say, referring to players from the 90s and 80s as plumbers will always be nonsensical, because at that point, NBA players were full-time pro athletes.
Yeah, that's
seeing
true.
how the league had reached astronomical heights of popularity. But if you go back far enough, the critique might not be as outlandish as it sounds.
Yeah, that's true.
Players having jobs outside
See, that's the thing. It's not. I will never say nothing, when it comes to people saying that about guys who played like in the 50s, 60s, But like when people start using that term for people in the 80s and 90s, bro, stop it, bro. Stop it. Those guys in the 40s, 50s, 60s, bro. You take the best guys from those generations and you put them against the guys in the 60s and 90s. No, you put them against guys, guys from the 80s and the 90s, bro. They would not be able to hold a candle next to them, bro. But take the best players from the 80s and the 90s, bro. They can definitely, give a contest, to those guys that we have today, Definitely, without a doubt.
The NBA was very normal throughout the 1950s, the 1960s, and the early 1970s. Even some of the greatest players in NBA history had some very regular jobs outside of basketball. Six-time All-Star and former scoring champion George Yardley had his own business as an engineer. One of the greatest big men in NBA history and a five-time champion in George Mikan worked as a travel agent. The Hall of Fame small forward Jack Twyman worked in insurance. Bob Cousy would run his own summer camps in the off-season. The four-time All-Star Dick Garmacher worked in real estate. And Bob Pettit, who was a two-time MVP winner and is arguably the greatest player in Hawks history, worked as a banker. The list goes on, but you'll be surprised to find out one very specific detail. Despite all of these regular jobs, the titles of, quote, plumbers is almost completely inaccurate. For some reason, there was basically no overlap between the professions of plumbing and pro basketball. And yet for some reason, these former greats have been called plumbers more so than any other trade.
Damn.
If anything, it would be more accurate to generally describe them as bankers and insurance agents. There is one exception though. Just one. In all of NBA history, there has only been one pro player who was simultaneously a plumber. His name is LeBron James.
What?
Just kidding. His name is actually Norman Stanley Glick, also known as Normie Glick. This 6'7" forward had a very efficient NBA career, as he shot 100% from the field over the course of his playing days. Or rather, his playing day. He played just one game with the Lakers in 1949, took one shot, made it, and finished the night with a stat line of 2 points, 0 assists, and 1 personal foul. That was the only pro basketball game that he would ever play, as Lakers management seemed to believe that he didn't have what it took to play in the league. Interestingly enough, the Lakers did go on to win the championship that year, meaning that if this happened in today's league, he would have been awarded with a championship ring for his modest efforts. As tragic as it is, not only do people think that plumbers couldn't cut it in today's game, but apparently they couldn't cut it in the early years of the NBA either.
Damn, that's crazy. No, I'm learning something right there though. Wow.
The legacy,
so it shows you really how silly it is when people trying to use, like the plumber thing. Wow.
Of this plumber lives on for decades afterwards, as people incorrectly apply his reputation and skill set to other players from his era and eras afterwards. So what do you guys think? Have people gotten carried away with the plumber's critiques? Or is it a valid take? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks to all my members for supporting the channel.
See, but whatever. It doesn't sound stupid when you go way, way, way back, but when people go recently, 30, 40 years ago still, this is where it's kind of this is where it gets, really, foolish. And, yeah. You see even plumbers couldn't even cut it at that time. So, whatever, man. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.